Good afternoon, subscribers, YouTube subscribers. This is Harper with Community First. I am showing you a picture, an honorable picture. In the picture, you see a woman and a man that had been married all their lives. They had 6 children. This is James Lewis and Emma Sparksman. She married him, and she became Emma Lewis Sparksman. The woman in the picture you see, her mother was a slave, and his parents also. But we remember her story more. Her mother came from somewhere near the Louisiana border in Mississippi. Some people owned her near Macomb, Mississippi. They owned her mother. And they were freed, and they were freed to a small town of Pelahatchie. Was an Indian graveyard where they were only allowed to be and build their houses. And this is the daughter of a freed slave, which was my great-grandmother, Emma Sparksman Lewis. She's the daughter of a freed slave. And she became a school teacher. She graduated from a HBCU in 1935. Jackson State University. So she had a degree, and she graduated in 1935. And her husband was a farmer on here, you see, on the other side. He was a farmer. He had land, so he donated some of his land to the town. Well, they put the first black school there called McCall High before they integrated in 1974. And she was a school teacher, his wife, and a midwife. Okay? So there's also some images here. They had a son, and their son was my grandfather. His name was John Ellis Lewis. And I'm going to show you an image of him, John Ellis. This is John Ellis Lewis and my mother. My mother was getting married at 18, and he stood beside her. She was marrying my father. He gave her away. And this is the son of the 2 people you just saw. He fought top sergeant in the Korean War. He fought top sergeant in the Korean War. So we memorialize him this weekend. And that's my mother right there. His daughter, Jennifer. Her name was Jennifer. Okay? Lewis. Until she married a Harper. All right. So what the interesting thing about this is, and I'm going to go back to the images, but what's the interesting thing about this is, even though my grandfather, the son of a school teacher and somebody who graduated from an HBCU in 1935, when he came home from the war, he went to the polls to vote. You know, it was voting season for something in that particular jurisdiction. And he had to drive at least 20 to 30 minutes to get to this poll. And he was so excited about it, you know, because he had a right to vote now. He's a man. You know, he's a man, and he also went to school at a Christian school, at like a charter school, because his mother was very strategic about things. She was a progressor. She graduated, of course, from HBCU. His daddy was a farmer, but they were free slaves. They were descendants of slaves. But this is how progressive they were. And so he was so happy about this day, you know, when he got back from the war. He was hurt in the war. He went to go vote, and he took his daughter with him. He only had one girl, and that was my mother. The rest was boys. So, you know, fathers take their daughters. You know, daughters love their fathers, and especially when it's a proud time. So he was proud to go to this poll and vote. So when they got there, they were all proud and stuff, and she had her snacks. And, well, they told my grandfather that he could not vote because Negroes was not allowed to vote in Mississippi. So he was hurt. And my mother told me about it, and she said my daddy was disappointed, and he drove home, and he tried not to look at her. But later on during the drive, he pulled her close to him after he had digested what had happened. You're not a human. Basically, the state has told you you're not valuable, you're not a human, you're like a dog or something. But you fought top sergeant in the Korean War, and my granddaddy was president of the class when he graduated from his charter school. He was president of the class. His mother had a degree, but he was still not allowed to vote. So they were embarrassed. So that's what sticks out to me today. This is where I come from on Memorial Day. So my mother, she went on to endeavor, and I will tell you what happened with her. Well, she's still here, my friend and my mother. I took her on vacation last week, as a matter of fact. And she bear these stories by existence. And I also as a descendant. Now, I'm going to share another image with you, but I want you to understand something. These are very interesting stories. Now, my mother, she is a educator. She's educated. She has a degree in science, Secretary of Science. And so she went to college also. And she graduated. Now, I'm going to show you an image of her. The lady that's showing her teeth on the right side, that's showing her teeth, that's my mother with her degree in Secretary of Science. She's the daughter of John Lewis, who we memorialize today, and the grandparent and the granddaughter of Emma Sparksman, who was a school teacher and graduated from Jackson State University, and the grandparent of a farmer and the descendants of slavery. Now, so Emma Sparksman Lewis, the lady here on the left, she was with her mother when her mother was freed from slavery in Mississippi. And they went to this town called Pillahatchee, where it was just an Indian graveyard and so forth, and they got the school built and all that, and she was a school teacher. And others were too. Families that I know, it was all black school teachers, and they end up, people end up becoming judges out that school. Okay? So, but her story, my mother was one time a little girl, and she was up on the hill because my granddaddy got a house built, the veteran, and him and his wife, and my mother was playing outside, and my grandmother was coming home, the woman that you just saw, the great-grandmother, who went to HBCU. She come home, and this woman, my grandmother, was dressed up like she had been to church. And my mother remembered, and my mama sat me down to tell this story. And she walked up to my mother, and she said, "Hey, Marie," my mother, they call her Marie. And she said, today, she grabbed my mother's face, and she said, "Today is the last day of a public hanging." So my grandmother, the woman in the picture, you saw, she had just came back from a public hanging of a man in Upper Mississippi near Greenville was accused of raping a white woman. In Brandon, Mississippi, they hung him publicly. People were dressed up and came as though it was a party, as though it was some function, and it was a lethal injection. So this is the stock that I come from. And I'll show you one more picture. This is my mother when she was studying in college. And don't forget, Emma Sparksman Lewis and James Lewis, this is just a bit of my history. And her mother was a slave. And her husband's parents were too. And she also had white through her. Because the slaves mixed with slave traders. On both sides of my family, there's Irish blood also. So we're very unique people. These are the stories we had to do, dignitary or not. Now, there's another picture I wish to show you, but I haven't got them really developed and pulled up on the computer. I got to get some, like I said, YouTube been giving me problems, so I got to get the computer set up. So my first cousin also in that town where all these people went to build their homes in Mississippi and the roots and that stuff, my cousin, which is younger than me now, she's 38 years old. She's the first African-American mayor throughout that district. She's been the mayor for 2 years. She became mayor in 2017. She shocked them. She's been all on the Ricky Smiley show and everything. Her name is Rashonda Harper Beecham. Now, this is our dignitary status that's going through us and our family. This is all integrity. This is all the epitome of what people should be. But that doesn't mean they don't experience the hardship of being American descendant of slavery. That don't mean that they don't have to reflect in pain and worry about their bills and all of this stuff, sharecropping and not got their land and everything and dealing with hardship. My mother works in a hospital and they won't even give her retirement because of the way it's set up. So she's now trying to pull up a certain percentage so we can get her together in some type of retirement. She still works there. My mother is 62 years old. She works in a hospital. She likes to work. She's been there for the last 40 years. Since I was a kid, when she graduated from college, she went into the hospital in the business secretary department. So, and my sister works in agriculture. And my other sister is a school teacher. She teaches science, physics. And I have a sister also that's here with me. She's not my mother child, but she's spiritually my sister. She's a doctor. She's a psychologist. So look, and she lives in my community and she fights. Her money making is coming from helping people build credit and so forth. But there's times where all of these people have came into having to drive even for Uber and Lyft just to have extra money. They took 75% of my cousin's money as mayor in Rankin County, Mississippi, after she wouldn't sign checks when she found out that the people were cheating. And it was predominantly white people paying a city clerk $79,000 a year. They were sharing wealth. They were exchanging wealth. Wealth is a team sport. These people making $65,000, $70,000, police officers and stuff. Nobody knew the business because the whole panel was the powers that be. So when my cousin came in with her strategy as mayor, she found this stuff out and she was scared to sign their checks. So she stopped signing them and she got the news story involved. Everybody got involved. It made public news. Now they have served the Board of Aldermen all papers. And one thing that's really hurtful about this is that one of my cousins is the Board of Aldermen, but he's a coon. So he's been going with all of this for so long. He's got himself a little big house over there, but he's the bottom of the barrel, even in terms of being a part of this. He was inside this and exchanging among the wealth of the powers that be illegally. And now they took 75% of her pay. So she barely making it too, as even a mayor. So our laws are going unprotected. I had to do this. But I'm not going to continue because I want to memorialize my grandfather. But today is about John Ellis Lewis. He was a veteran and he fought in the Korean War, top sergeant, my mother's father. That's what we're doing today. However, this ADOS thing ties to every bit of our lives. Every bit of it. It deserves recognition in every way possible because it announces who we are. The acronym, it announces everything who we are. It ties into our struggles, our fate. It ties into our rich history. It's a part of us. So anyway, this is some of the story of which I exist. Yes. So today we memorialize John Ellis Lewis, but I tied in a little bit more extra to this just to let you know who these people are. They're not on the street. They're not thugs. They're not rappers. They're not thieves. They're dignitaries. But they still have to suffer generational wealth being up against the powers that be because of how they are anchored in the country wrongfully. Doesn't mean that they're stupid. But thank you for joining me. This is Harper with Community First. I just want to come and give a little honor for my grandfather fought in the top sergeant Korean War and just share with you guys where I come from. I mean, thank you for subscribing to my channel. I'm going to get better with the commentary, so stay there with me, guys, and we'll pull up some stuff and I'll pretty much be a little bit more sophisticated how I deliver messages to you so you can appreciate. So please subscribe to my channel. This is a fight. This is a warrior channel. This is a warrior channel. So subscribe.